Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and this should be interesting to say the least. A month ago, I told you guys I was looking for one other guitar after selling off probably 11 guitars total, and that would be a Fender Jaguar. I was trolling around, used places online, and Guitar Center's used section is always a pretty decent place to look, and I found this guitar a month ago. I was told this guitar is cursed. It took a month to get to me because it was in transit. The order was canceled. There was mistakes with it. The guy said, you don't want to buy this guitar because there are some problems, which we're going to see just how extensive they are with it. But at the end of the day, we're here now. We're going to evaluate the damage of it and see if the most important parts being, the neck, how it feels, and just general playability are decent enough to warrant potentially fixing this thing back up, or if it's something that I'll just try to put back to its stock form and sell it. First thing, not many Fender Jaguars come in this case. Definitely not the original case. Please don't suck. Okay. It's a Johnny Marr Jaguar, and the action is like 15 feet off the fretboard. Alright, let's see what came with it in the box. Oh my god, it is missing screws on the plate. You see that? That's not even lined up remotely correctly. Oh, they weren't lying. This looks like this could be a total disaster. Our work is cut out for us. We do not have the original vibrato unit. This plate's wrong, the pick guard is wrong, the pickups are wrong, and the setup is terrible on it. Now, I do have some good news. This feels super light, and I like the neck a lot on this guitar. I'm just gonna take this thing apart and get started. This guitar is in even worse shape than I thought. They took the vibrato, the bridge post, the pickups, the pick guard, the brass shielding, and even replaced the control plate with one out of a Squier Classic vibe. The only parts that are original and still here, the neck, the body itself, the four-way selector switch, and the two bright switches where the rhythm circuit normally goes on a Jag. Buying a guitar, gutting it for its parts, and returning it with inferior parts is just a shitty thing to do. It's really hard to find some of these original parts if you wanted to put the thing back to stock, but luckily for me, I have no interest in putting this thing back to stock. Before we get into that though, I'm going to gut everything off of this guitar. My plan for this guitar is really straightforward. I just want to turn it to a vintage style Jaguar. I want to add in the rhythm circuit. I want to add in the 3 slider switches and get rid of the 4-way selector blade. I'm going to have to replace the entire control plate with an American sized one, as well as the CTS 1 meg pots and switchcraft jack. I'm going to have to replace the bridge. I have an original marrguar bridge with the 52mm spacing. Got an American vintage vibrato system with the arm. And last but not least, I got a new set of Lawler pickups. Whenever I'm working on a guitar or changing parts around, I like to test fit things to make sure I'm not going to have any issues with the install. And yeah, we had a major issue pretty much straight away that was going to impact how I wired this thing up. The rhythm circuit doesn't fit. The way that it is now, the wheel does not have enough clearance to make it into the cavity, and I just can't wrap my head around why. It's a standard American spec rhythm circuit going into an American routed Fender Jaguar body, and yet it just won't work out for me. At this point, I'm really frustrated, and I'm starting to think this guitar really may well be cursed. But I'm not going to give up. I decided I'm going to put the original plate with the 2 bright switches back onto the guitar, but I'm not going to hook them up to anything. It's just going to be a dummy there for the aesthetic. All I'm going to do is hook the neck pickup and the bridge pickup to the respective slider on the 3 slider switch. Whenever you're changing pickups on a Jaguar, remember to use the longer screws for the bridge pickup and the shorter screws for the neck pickup. That way you can get each in their respective sweet spots. After I finished soldering, I wanted to make sure before I put the guitar back together, it was working as intended. Luckily, everything worked just fine, and now all I had to do was put the guitar back together, which seemed easy enough before removing the neck and tightening the truss rod a little bit because there was way too much relief in it. Unfortunately, there was one other problem that I was going to run into, and it was the mint green pickguard. This had fit on 3 other American Fender Jaguars that I had in the past, and for whatever reason it didn't want to fit on this one, and I got frustrated and I said, you know what, I'm going to make this fit. I took a box cutter knife and I tried to enlarge the hole so the pickups would go through it, and yeah, I ended up ruining that pickguard. I'm gonna have to order another mint green one, and for now it's just gonna have to do with the perloid one. Up until this point, I've had a few hurdles that I've had to get over to get this thing put back together, but there was one major surprise still waiting for me once I removed the neck. Once I had the neck off, I looked into the neck pocket and I couldn't believe what I saw. The date on this guitar was my daughter's birthday. Maybe this was meant to be after all. All I have left to do is to polish the frets, oil the fingerboard, and throw on a new set of strings. Even though this didn't end up exactly how I had hoped it would, I'm really happy that I did do it, and there's a few reasons for that. I've always wanted to have a Johnny Marr parts caster because I really dig the neck on this. It's the real selling point of it, and the custom colors that have been available in the past in limited runs, they're not always things that you find on Fender USA model Jaguars when you can find one. Lake Placid Blue and Sherwood Green are the top of my list when it comes to Jags, so when I saw this and I knew that if I did take out all of what was left of the Johnny Marr parts and switch them out, it wouldn't be as sacrilegious as taking one that was totally stock and then gutting it from there, as the case was with the original person who bought this and then, you know, kind of chop shopped it and sent it back to Guitar Center with nothing but the body and the neck being original for the most part. Now eventually I'll do a full demo of this guitar and go over the pickups, but for right now, I just want to make sure it plays all right and there's no malfunctions on it. And curious how it does sound though, because I've never tried to set a louder pickups in a Jaguar before. And I get to use the Z mic'd up by the 57. Nobody's home, so I can be loud for once. Start with both pickups. That sounds fun. That's a lot of gain and it still sounds pretty good. Dial it back a little bit. Alright, this sounds fantastic. Gonna have to dial in the neck a little bit more as far as the setup goes, but the neck does feel awesome on it. The actual shape on it's fantastic. If Fender ever make a reissue that's a straight up traditional Jaguar style guitar, I'd love if they use the same profile and the nut width, because Kind of reminds me of both older American Fender guitars from the 60s and some of the Japanese guitars that I've played that do have the Fender or not. I'm going to do a follow-up with this guitar and compare it with a different Jaguar at a later date, but for today, I filmed enough. And I'm really hot from working outside, so I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm just going to enjoy playing the guitar for a little bit on my own time. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this, let me know by leaving a like. If you're angry that I ruined a Johnny Marr guitar, I'm sorry, but I wasn't the first one to ruin it, and it's not like I took all the original parts off. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.